The essentials.
Yeah.
Essentially said nothing.
A complete guide to the essentials of post-hummingbird SEO.
Wow.
Oh, and there's the birds. We got some birds. Yay. Everyone's got his birds rolling. Very good. Yes. They need to be blue or something. So yeah, I came across this and I had, wow. I guess for the uninitiated, I to this day don't think Hummingbird changed a fuck a lot, if anything, to the actual SEO landscape. It was more about natural language processing. It was, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it's got everything to do with conversational search, meaning dealing with voice search and things like that that they think are coming in the future. Or well, they're there now, but evolving in the future. So yeah. Technical site feed, internal link architecture is important apparently to Hummingbird. Not sure how that works. On-page elements. Yeah, well, H1 tags. Yeah. I love these two though, Terry. On-page elements and content. Again, it's a natural language processing system. So yeah, I guess it does have something to do with the page, huh? The content. Yeah, that'd be genius. And then this, Terry. With Hummingbird in place, websites that are rewarded with a top-ranking result are those that deliver a consistent and accurate customer-centric experience. Fuck right off.
Geez, I wonder if that could be partially what Panda was doing as well.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Half of these people who write about this stuff can't really separate one thing from another. That's why I don't read much.
Page URLs.
Put there, and that's about it.
And of course, bounce rates.
Hooray! I like bounce rates.
Oh, wow, man. And make your site architecture easy. Now, this is just basically like 4 tips on how to build a good website. It has nothing to do with fucking Hummingbird.
Right.
and that's it. And again, like this ultimate guide is really not even nearly, I don't know, long enough. And not only does it not say anything, it's just, wow.
Apparently that heading tag is back, Dave.
Who knew, dude? Because that might have nothing to do with Goopla or something like any kind of page layout algorithm.
They're
Come
doing
on.
more semantically, and that's like a blueprint,
And originally, remember when Hummingbird broke, people were running around saying it had everything to do with the knowledge graph, because they had updated that. Because, oh yeah, that's right. Because at the press conference, they mentioned both back to back. So obviously, they must be connected.
Well, this is it. They mentioned about 8 things in a go, and because they mentioned all of those things together, I mean, Hummingbird was almost an aside because there wasn't that much that was sexy that you could talk about to, interest people that wasn't going to give away what the system was, and it had already been in effect for over a month.
Yeah, that's what
nobody had noticed.
A couple months. Yeah, that's right. Because again,
if you want to know what changed. If you want to know what is important in SEO post-Hummingbird, well, you've got to go back to a month before it was announced to look for the difference.
Yeah.
Because by the time it was announced, it was already in place. If you hadn't noticed a loss in traffic, it wasn't going to happen. Nothing had changed. It's a change to Google. It's the way that Google process a hell of a lot of stuff. Nothing else.
We saw the same thing with caffeine. Remember, Terry, that people are like, oh, ranking's this, ranking that. So it was like, no, this is an infrastructure thing. This is about parallel processing. This is about how the back end works. It's not about the ranking mechanisms, but still, people around caffeine were doing the same fucking thing. They were like, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's like, oh my god.
Well, if you look at caffeine and the basically thin content they seem to happen at the same time, which is probably because caffeine unleashed the more machine learning, which enabled them to do the stuff that led into what we're seeing now.
That's right.
Nobody's really put that together.
Yeah. No, we did at the time, but no one listened.
Well, it ain't that we're that smart, Dave.
Well, no, you just can't sell a service based on it. You can't sell a service based on it that way, dude. You can't say post caffeine SEO or post Hummingbird SEO packages. You know, if you can't, you gotta be able to sell a service on it, Terry. You have to give them something they can sell, baby. Man, if they can't sell it, they don't want to listen.
I think the main thing that we're seeing as different since Hummingbird is that ever since Hummingbird came along, I'm seeing faster and faster, more and more of those little knowledge boxes coming in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing those cards much more all of the time.
That's why I think people associate the two Ammon as they seem to coincide.
Well, they announced both at the same time. They announced a big update to how many cards they were going to start showing and how many query spaces they'd show them in and entity relations and shit like that at the same press conference. And I think that's where the logical leap came from, and it was all bullshit. Again, you know, I think a large degree of this is, you know, one of the things we noticed post Hummingbird, Terry, was how they were treating their queries differently. You know, I mean, how query classification was changing, where you used to see maybe in a standard not obvious transactional informational query, you used to see it more of a mix, less of a mix. Sorry, they would straight up, you know, if you had more links to of a transactional nature, those would show up. They were degrading those kind of listings and trying to mix that more. Whereas we saw with how to or where to buy, meaning information or transactional queries, we started seeing more defined results in those areas. So I think a lot of it had to do with that kind of query classification shit. And again, I think at the end of the day, you know, they're moving towards the battle of the living room, the battle of the mobile phone, which is voice search. And I think that natural language processing elements of Hummingbird has got a large part of where they're trying to go with it. You know?
Well, if you remember, David, remember after the one Penguin ran, they ran that thing for payday loans. Wasn't that about the same time that they released Hummingbird? And we were saying, or you were saying at the time, that was more about they seemed to be working on the way they were classifying queries.
Yeah.
I remember
I think that's a large part of
that at that time. So, yeah.
Well, you think about the struggles they've always had with sentiment analysis and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But they're doing LSI now, Dave. That's no longer a problem.
Yeah, I saw one of those today. Oh my god. But yeah, you know, I think Hummingbird again. It's largely about, you know, understanding the query, understanding the content, and matching those two better, meaning natural language processing and query classification. You know, and a large part of that was about that, and I think that's the core of what they're trying to get at. And again, voice search and things like that.